Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome back to another episode of Executions Graded. It's been a while since we did this, guys, and believe it or not, I was actually going to do a video one per execution, so you'd get three, but people were telling me, nah man, you got to do them all in one video. Do all three in one video like you used to, so I decided to wait, and now all three Hero Fests have been done. All three new executions are revealed to us for this title update, so it's finally time to take a look at the three new executions coming out. We've got one for Shaolin, we've got one for Varangian Guard, and we've got one for Aramusha. I've graded all of them, and I'm really excited to talk about how they've come out. Before we get into it, though, quick little disclaimer so you guys know what's going on. If you've never watched this series before, take a look in the upper right-hand corner right now. You'll get a link to a video called That's an Execution, where I go over my rubric for how I grade all these. I hate that I have to say that every video, but there are lots of people who just do not understand how I approach this, and you gotta watch that video to fully understand. But for those of you who are still in the dark and don't want to rewatch that rubric video, you just want to get into it, here's a brief summary of how it works. I grade each execution based on four criteria: lethality, how deadly is it; realism, how realistic is it, could you actually do it; efficiency, is this quick, is it effective, is it something that you'd want to take the time to do; and finally, cool factor, just how good does it look, does it fit the character's personality, all that fun stuff. I give each of these a maximum score of 4, so that the maximum score a character can get is 16 out of 16, which is a 100, right? I then take this score and I put it all together to create a grade for that execution. Then, there's more, then I take that score and apply it to their average grade. That's right, I've already graded every single execution in this game, aside from the new ones we're about to look at, and so when I grade a new execution, I apply it to their existing grade to get their average. So today you're going to get two grades. You're going to get a grade for the execution, and you're going to get an average grade of what their grade looks like with this new execution added to it. It may stay the same, it may go up, it may go down. Either way, we're going to see some grades fly, right? All right, so we've gone over everything. If you need any more information than that, go check out the video I just told you about. And now it is time. Let's take a look at the new executions, starting with Shaolin's Catch and Release. Huh. Okay, I think we've seen it. All right, so let's talk about it. For lethality, let's start with lethality. One of the big problems that Shaolin is always just going to have when it comes to his grades is a bow staff is not inherently lethal. I mean, yes, people always say, oh, but it's weighted at the ends, it could be lethal. Even if it's weighted at the end, it is not a guaranteed lethal weapon, because the Shaolin monks historically tried to avoid killing where they could, unless they were in a battlefield situation. More often than not, the Shaolin's goal was to avoid killing. So, and if they wanted to kill, they probably weren't going to bring a waxwood staff to take care of the problem. So, when talking about lethality with Shaolin, it's always going to be a little bit tricky, and that is why this lethality is a little bit low. I'm going to give this a 2 for lethality. The big killing blow here is the strike to the face with the staff, and while that could kill, it could cause a skull fracture, it could break the jaw. It is hard to tell exactly what that would cause, so I'm going to have to err on the side of caution. I won't give it a 1, because I think there is an argument to be made that this could kill, but I just don't see it as well, so I'm going to give this a 2 for lethality. For realism, actually, I gave this a 4 for realism. I think this is very realistic. All this feels very realistic. You could pull all this off. All this feels like it could actually happen, so 4 for realism. For efficiency, I give it a 3. This is fine. It's pretty quick. It's handled decently enough, but I think the problem I have with it is it feels too, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't feel fluid. Like, you can watch it and you can feel like Shaolin's just moving in a very blocky way. He's not moving like it's a flowing movement. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Like, it's just almost like this kata. And when we know that Shaolin can do better than that, it's just a little weird to see him do this weird kind of kata that doesn't really fit him all that well. But I mean, it's still efficient enough, it's handled well, and it's quick enough that I think it would count. So I give it a 3 instead of a 4. For a 4, it would have to really wow me or impress me. And this wasn't all that wowing or impressive. Plus, if you really want to be honest about it, look at what part of the setup was. Warden had to grab the staff there and then get pulled into step 2, right? I don't know, that's asking for a lot, because if Warden doesn't grab that staff, he's too far away for the kick to work. So yeah, part of your setup required your opponent to play along with you, so I have to take a point off for that too. So that is a 3 for efficiency. And then for cool factor, I'll give it a 2. I will give it a 2. Yeah, it's fine. I don't have anything specifically against it. I don't have anything really against it. It's fine. I guess it's just meh for me. That's what 2 really is. It's just, it was okay. It was fine. I think if this was done a little faster and with a little bit more grace and a little less clunkiness, I think this would be a really good one. But for what it is, I got to give it a 2, which gives this execution an 11 out of 16, which is a 69%. I am contractually obligated to now say giggity. So now we have a 69%. Like I said, that's only the first grade though. We got to apply it to its overall grade. So Shaolin's overall grade is a 73%. They've got a 73% overall. Applying the 79 to their executions graded average, we now get 73%. So it did not go up, it did not go down. Shaolin is staying at 73%, which honestly, I'll be real, with a weapon like the Waxwood Staff, that's actually a better grade than I would have expected for Shaolin. Not very high, but it's better than I was expecting with the weapon he's using. So very good job, Shaolin. Not bad. 73% is pretty decent, but a 69, come on, man. I know you can do better than that. You've had better executions. Let's see you improve from here. Moving on. This time we have the Severing. Okay. I think we can sum up my feelings on this execution with one Havoc clip. Can we get that Havoc clip, please? Yeah, that sums it up pretty well in my opinion. That look sums it all up pretty well. I'm not gonna lie, guys, before I even get into the grading, I don't like this one. I really don't like this one. Wanna know why I don't like this one? I'll show you why. Watch this. We're gonna step away from Varangian for a second. We're gonna go over to Raider. That look familiar? Look at it one more time. Look at it one more time. Tell me this doesn't look familiar. Yeah, so Varangian's new execution is, for all intents and purposes, exactly the same as what Raider did. Here are the differences, though. In Varangian's version, Varangian puts the axe halfway through the neck of her opponent. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's all the difference. I will give Varangian some credit, unlike Raider, who puts the axe in front of the throat and then somehow decapitates. Varangian actually puts the axe into the throat, so that's a little more believable. But no, I mean, basically you just took the same execution that Raider had and just made it for Varangian, which, I'm sorry, that's a little bit lazy, especially when Varangian up until now has had the best score of anyone else in the roster. She's had an incredibly high score. Y'all want to know how high her score was? Her score up until now has been a 96%. That's the highest average execution grade we've had, and then we get this. Oh man, all right, well, enough preamble, let's get to the grade. So for lethality, it's a 4. We have to give it a 4 because the head came off. If the head comes off, the body's dead, so obviously this is a lethality of 4. For realism, I'm gonna give it a 2. I will explain why. The biggest problem with this is the ease of the decapitation. Now, here's where people are going to get on me. But Raven, she buried the axe into the neck. Yes, she did. Halfway through with a one-armed swing that wouldn't have gone all the way through the spine, and yet with a single kick off the shoulder, the whole head just comes tumbling off. That is not how that works. The head is not held there by duct tape. I get this argument all the time about how, come on, man, the axe went into the neck. It totally would have weakened the neck or weakened the vertebra, or oh, come on, you're not taking into account all the rest of the battle that the Warden's gone through. Look, let me be clear. The head cannot be taken off so simply. If the Varangian did a two-handed swing into his neck, or we saw that the axe was pushed deeper in, or maybe if the Varangian used their shield to beat the shaft a little bit deeper into the neck, do with that line what you will, Internet. I know you. I know how you operate. I know how you think. Don't think I don't know this game by now. My point being, if she had applied more pressure, applied a two-handed grab, or something to make that axe head go deeper into the neck, then I would have bought this. But with this one-handed weak swing into the neck, I do not believe this coming off. The only reason I give this a 2 and not a 1, the only reason I give this a 2, no, I'm not even kidding, the only reason is because it did go partially into the head. It went partially into the neck, so it is a little bit more believable that what she did was, as she kicked the warden off, the axe just drug through and sliced the head off more cleanly. I still don't really buy it all that well. I still think that that's a weak argument, but the argument could be made, so I'll give it that too. Okay? I'm willing to be nice and give it that too. I don't want to be nice, but I have to be nice. Okay? So a 2 for realism. For efficiency, 4. This is a 4 for efficiency. While I'm not a big fan of this execution, I have to give it credit for what it is. Varingian knocks the warden to their knees, applies the axe to the neck, and then yanks it out again and pulls the head off. I have to be honest, it works. That is a good, efficient way to get the kill and move forward. So good score for efficiency. I have to be honest. Now for cool factor. 1. I have to give this a cool factor of 1. Just like that Havoc clip we just saw, this execution is boring. Not only does it completely rip off of Raiders, who I think Raider did way better, even though it was probably worse in terms of realism, but I digress. The issue I take here is it is just boring, especially when we have some execution from Varingian, which are so solid. Like, can we just take a minute to appreciate what Varingian had? Do you remember Axe and Hammer? How about head block? How about absolute will? And back crack. Do you remember how awesome? And then we get this. 1. That is a 1 for cool. I'm sorry, that just does not work. So, with that all said and done, we now get an execution graded of 11 out of 16, which is another 69%. I am contractually obligated to once again say, giggity. I know how you work, internet. I've been at this game long enough to know that, you degenerates. But now we need to ask the question, with that 69%, what does that do to Varingian Guard's overall execution grade? Remember, the overall average of Varingian Guard right now is 96%, and that was only with her 4 original executions. We now have our 5th. What will this 5th score do to it? Her new score, her new average score is a 91%, a crushing 5% loss. Now, yes, 91% is still good. It is still a great grade, but Varingian, my girl, what have you done? Are you upset with me because I've been kind of shitting on you lately? When I did that, I was criticizing you from a place of love. This feels like an insult, girl. I wouldn't have even done this to you. I want you to have good executions. I want you to be fun. I want you to be entertaining. Ugh, man. Very disappointing. Again, I think Havoc sums it up perfectly.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Yep, I can't think of a better way to sum it up than that. All right, well, moving on. And last but not least, we have Springboard. Whoa, that was fast. I just came home for this one. I literally just got back from vacation to see this, so let's see how this looks. Can I see that one more time? Oh, man. Okay, see from the other perspective. Okay, so for lethality, let's start with lethality. I'm gonna give that a 3. Here's the thing. In order for that to kill, the blades need to go into the heart. It is too high and too shallow to do much to anything else. But if that right-handed blade can go into the heart, it's a kill. But from this angle, it's a little hard to tell. The left-handed blade seems to be going into possibly the liver? Possibly? Maybe a lung? Maybe? That's a big maybe. But then again, look at the depth. It's not even that super deep. I think that's maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 inches of penetration. But not that much. Not that much penetration. But it would be enough to reach an organ. The amount of penetration is enough to reach an organ. But the question is, what organ is it hitting? Is it hitting the heart? Is it nicking it? It's a little hard to tell. You know what? I'll give it a 3 because it's hard to tell, but there is a good likelihood that it might hit the heart. So I will give it a 3 for lethality just in case it does hit the heart. But I would argue the blade is a little off center, because if you want to know where the heart is, guys, It is actually in the center of your chest. If you actually play, you know, all of my people in America, you know how whenever you do the Pledge of Allegiance, you put your hand over the right side of your chest and you think that's where your heart is? Actually, draw your hand closer to the center, just underneath your neck. That's where the heart is. Believe it or not, that's where the heart is. Not even kidding. So in order for that blade to reach the heart, it needs to go into the center part of the chest, and it's just, I think it's missing that. I think it's missing. But you know what? I'll be nice. Again, I'll be nice. We'll give it a 3. For realism, I'm going to give that a 3 as well. I'm not saying you couldn't do a springboard off of that. That's not a problem. I think you could do a springboard off of a body like that. The problem I see here with this springboard effect is the fact that the blades are being used to hold in place for the initial springboard, and then they're being yanked out very easily, which calls into question how deep they actually went to cause the damage you need them to. And it also requires your opponent to keep standing to allow you to springboard off of them. Like, here's the thing. Whenever you see this kind of thing in the movies or in a stunt performance, the person that they're kicking off of is usually standing there to be their springboard, like they are intending to be the springboard. Here, Warden shouldn't be intending it. This should be accidental. As soon as he puts his full weight of his body onto Warden's chest, Warden should be falling over. But he doesn't. You'll notice that when he kicks off, it takes Warden a minute to fall over, which I don't think is very realistic, unless the argument is being made that the blades being pulled out are creating a reverse effect where it's bringing two forces against each other, the force of the blades coming out and the force of the kick. However, in that case, that again begs the question, how deep were the blades? You know, I'll give it a 3. That's a lot of questions I don't really feel like diving into. I'll give it a 3 for realism because you could definitely do a springboard like that, but it just asks a lot of questions, so I'm going to give it a 3. For efficiency, I'm going to give it a 2. Now, many people are going to say, hold on, Raven, why is this a 2? It was really quick, and isn't that what you need? Yes, it is quick, but when I look at efficiency, I'm looking at other things besides just swiftness. For example, necessity. Did you need to do the springboard effect? Honestly, no, you didn't. It looks cool, but it really doesn't need to be done. You're locking down both swords into the opponent's body just to do a cool jumping effect, and you're not even sure that where you place the blades will actually be lethal. I'm not sure it's necessary. I'm not sure you would actually have to do that, but that's part of the problem. There are better ways to do this. Like, in fact, Aramusha has an execution already that does this a bit better. If I can find it. Disjointed, I believe it's called. In this execution, the blades are going right down through the shoulder blades into the body, and you know they're hitting organs as they go down. You're locking down both swords to ensure the kill, you're yanking out, and you're ready to fight again. But with Springboard, you're not sure how deep the swords go, you're not sure what they hit, and then you just do a really quick springboard off of it, which seems a little unnecessary, and yeah, they're just down. I don't know. I'm not as big a fan of that. It's flashy, I'll give it that, and if you like flashy, then it's cool, but I'm not sure I would give that a high score for efficiency when there are far more efficient ways to get the kill, especially when you have blades designed to cut, not stab. And here comes the arguers, katanas can stab. I never said they couldn't, but they are designed to slash. They are designed to cut, and because of that, I would rather use them for what they were designed to do, not for what they can do, you know, but that's just me. And then finally for cool factor, I give it a 2, because it's just it's just to me. I mean, it's fine, it looks flashy, I like flashy, flashy is cool, flashy can be neat, but at the same time, it just didn't wow me. It's just one of these things where I just kind of look at it and go, it's okay, it's fine. I don't hate it, but I don't really like it either. You know, it's just kind of meh. I wouldn't waste my steel on it right now. Not when I have steel that I want to use on other things. But hey, if you like it, you like it. And so that gives this execution a 10 out of 16, which is a 63%. Not a great score, but still a score. So Aramusha, what does that do to their overall average? Aramusha's overall average up until now has been a 77%. Not a bad score, not a bad score. Not great, but not a bad one. So with this 63% added to their overall average, it turns into a 76%. That's right. We have dropped a point. So yes, Aramusha is now at a 76% overall average. Sorry, Aramusha. This one didn't do you any favors, but luckily it wasn't so bad that it dropped you down too low. So you should still be okay as long as you give us a better one next time. Okay, buddy? Okay. And that is all of the Hero Fest executions done for this title update. We do have 3 more coming up in title update 2, so I'm very excited to get to that one. We will talk about those when we get to them. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Did you agree with my grades? Did you disagree? Let me know, but be respectful down in the comment section. Just don't give me this like, oh, you're bad, you're stupid, you're not thinking like, don't do that. It's not going to impress me. But if you guys have any thoughts, if you guys want to offer your opinion on the executions, I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Always read the comments, and as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Glad to be back from vacation. See you next time.